Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Boring Enterprise Nerds podcast. This is our last podcast of the year 2022, and it's myself, Elena Perfilio, and my colleague, Paul Motherman. Please say
Hi,
hi,
everyone.
Paul. We are here to talk about the year that has passed and talk about some of the stories that we have written in our newsletter and also discuss like where is the technology, where are some of the subjects that we have written about before, what happened to them and what we see for the future. So
hmm
in to prepare for this podcast, Paul and I agreed to select several stories from the full year of our Boring Enterprise Nerd letter of each other's writing, and then just talk about them. So that's okay with you, Paul. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start with my
kick it
top
off.
three of Paul Moderman stories from the year of 2022.
Coming in at number three, we
Coming
have.
in in no particular order. So it was incredibly tough decision for me to select just three of them because I started with literally like I think 25 or so.
they're
So
all Pulitzer
so
winning
yeah.
things. Yeah.
All right. So these are very tough choices. So this is where Art those Signavios. This appeared in one of our April issues, and I just really loved like everything about it, like illustration, like Signavius Wheel of Doom.
hmm
It's perfect, and it was just so timely, and I just love like many like tongue-in-cheek kind of jokes in this story. Not that are they're pretty much in every Paul story, I would
Yeah.
say. About
Yeah.
maybe 30% of so of them are like serious, but most of the time you will find some entertainment in ours. So this is one of my like top favorite ones. Definitely, it was just very
Yeah.
nice. Then let me do this 1 second. So this was our TechEd issue. It was right after TechEd finished, and in this one, we got a chance to write about TechEd from different perspectives. So Paul
Mm,
went there in
yeah.
person, and he has written about his experience. And I was just writing my view from just the online portion of the event, kind of from the
Mm,
peanut
yeah.
gallery. And what I really liked about this one is that kind of, I think it was the first time where Paul started using this kind of style, where you Paul separated this by kind of subject,
Mm.
and you did your kind of hot takes on every one of them. So I really liked the format and how you how you put them as like tired and wired. Like for
I
example,
stole that from somewhere. I can't remember where that
yeah.
somebody does that, but yeah.
Oh, all right. So for example, ABAP Cloud was one of the big announcements as at the TechEd. And under tired, Paul put here is tired steampunk, embedded steampunk, cool range steampunk, and steampunk platinum. And now wired, like all the steampunk stuff, it's now just called ABAP Cloud. So I think it was very interesting observation. All right, so you have like Paul's juicy hot take trademark. I think we need to continue this
We
brand,
do.
Paul. It's like
Let's pull it
we should,
forward.
yeah, exactly. Let's officially trademark it. So, and my last but not least, this is actually not one, but I have two links here, and those we're recording both audio and video of this podcast. So those watching on YouTube will get also visual presentation of all of this. But if you're listening, to try to imagine like in front of you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so beautiful.
yeah, it's excellent. So there was a specific subject that Paul has written quite a bit about. It started with Rise with SAP, and then we also found
Yeah.
SOAR was it Accenture, Paul?
Sora was Accenture's.
SOAR was
Yeah.
Accenture, and then there was also, I think IBM also had one something with IBM, and
Ooh.
then it just took off from there. So
Yeah.
so this was, I think, not just one story, but it ended up as it turned into the whole like trilogy
I think it was a
of
trilogy. Yeah.
yeah, Fry, Soar, and something. I kind of lost track of it, but I got two of them here. So let me see. So this was this issue. rice swans, and I just love this illustration. It's from where is this one? Is it from Finding Nemo, I
The
think, right?
Finding Nemo,
Where
yeah.
those seagulls are doing like
Yep.
bye bye. So here they're doing soar. It's such a funny story. And then I think it was just icing on the cake plus cherry on top. There was breakthrough with IBM and
Or
Rise
Rise
with
with SAP. Yeah.
Rise with SAP, and Breakthrough has a fake album cover. So I think it was just very nice, and very nice continuity there. And I'm glad that these companies kept feeding us this
Yeah.
wonderful
Yeah.
ideas for more abbreviations or something, or snazzy names for their offerings. But I kind of hope that's it, and no one else is going to come up with their own rice flavor.
It definitely has a is this the end of the BS yet, or we got more left,
Exactly.
right?
It's
Yeah.
like, does anyone else want to jump on this rice train?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So rice, or breakthrough saga.
So, thank you, Yelena. That was a good Paul wrap up. And now I present the counter story to this,
Sweet.
the Yelena wrap up. Let me get my screen prepared. There's that. Yep. Okay. And I will share it. And just like all Zoom meetings, I'm just like talking through sharing the screen because that's how it goes.
I'm gonna share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, can you see my screen? Can you...
We can see it, Paul.
Yes, we can see it.
Sweet.
Okay. So here is the first one. This one is you did a story on women in IT. Thank you for showing up. And so that's first of all, I like you had me at Star Wars, right? Like for me personally, you put a Star Wars meme in there, I'm just it could be about pillows and I'd be there, right? But
Yeah.
that's good. But also on a little bit more serious note, like women in IT is a perspective for me. I'm not a woman in IT. I don't have that perspective, right? So it is nice, even if it's just every now and again, whatever, it is nice to hear a perspective about that. So A, a good write-up, and B, thank you for sharing that stuff, whenever you choose to do so. I really do appreciate that. Because like everyone's heard my perspective. I'm a white dude. Like, come on, everyone's heard my perspective. It's good to hear the other stuff too. So really good stuff there.
Yeah, and for those who are just listening, so the picture for that it's a picture of Luke Skywalker where and writing is roses are red, violets are blue. Happy 8th of March, ladies. May the force be
May the
with
force
you.
be with you.
A super funny picture. Not my own creation, but I think I found the base of it and just threw some text on it. Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, I loved it too. Thank you, Paul.
Speaking of that, this is an early issue, and you talked about Calendly, which is a very cool tool by itself. But the reason I wanted to point this one out as a Yelena trophy winner is that this is relatively early on in the history of the Boring Enterprise Nerdletter, and it's got a meme picture on it. And that became a thing, but it wasn't always a thing for us, right? And so this is one of the earliest examples I could find of Yelena busting out the meme pictures and really helping to set that tone of that extra because we have both of us have like a tongue-in-cheek writing style, but you really helped establish like a visual tongue-in-cheek style with the meme pictures. And so it was a good write-up. I like Calendly. I like the way you use it with us and our guests. But also, additionally, you did the meme picture with it, and that was really cool. And that was sort of a Boring Enterprise Nerds cultural landmark, I guess you could say.
So it's like equivalent of cave paintings for
yeah. Yeah,
early art.
The archaeologists have discovered the earliest meme scrawlings on the newsletter board. That's good. And then the other one that I chose was I went back through and I remembered that you and we did a list of predictions,
Hmm.
and you are a true Nostradamus because one of your predictions, well, probably more, but one of them, like for sure specifically, came true in this very year. So in the predictions for 2022, you predicted that, where is that? Which one was it? The first one. What am I looking at here? The You said, and here's a quote. You said, "I wager stuffy SAP executives will try to purge steampunk nomenclature and replace it with something boring while customers merrily use whatever terminology already stuck." And that is that's like you got in the DeLorean and jumped into the future with Doc Brown, because that is precisely what happened. We
Yeah.
got Above Cloud, where we used to have steampunk,
Hmm.
and I think the question marks floating over most people's heads are still, but what about steampunk? Right? That
Yeah.
still is like that's still what people say. So
Yeah.
you stuffy ASAP execs purge steampunk, like you nailed it. You completely nailed it. So
Awesome.
in not only do we have like the memestress um and the snark of the writing, but we also can add prophetess to your resume, so to speak. Like, so I expect your Twitter bio to change. Like after this
Oh
call,
yeah.
you can add prophetess to your Twitter bio. And then that would be totally true. So those are my top three, no particular order. Yelena Perfilieva moments from the newsletter this year.
Awesome. So we have not only predicted that, and we have written about when it happened, when that whole
Hmm.
renaming happened.
Hmm.
Yeah, I bet steampunk is gonna stick at least in many people's heads, because we
Yeah,
are so we stick to our kind of names, no matter
yeah,
whether it's official, unofficial. Like SAP Basis is greatest example.
yeah. That's
Basis,
true.
I think
It's
it's
gonna
some
always be
kind of a
there.
mainframe. I think it
Yeah,
haven't even existed when I started with SAP, and that
yeah,
was like early 2000s. I've been told it's, yeah, something from the old days. So yeah, very interesting.
yeah,
I'm curious
yeah,
how many times Sabbath Cloud is going to be renamed before
yeah.
people forget steampunk.
And I don't. The thing too is that like steampunk grew on me as a name because
Hmm.
it's like it's unique, it's kind of
Hmm.
fun, it's kind of cool. Like I wouldn't have minded at all if
Hmm.
they were like, forget all these different steampunk names, just call it steampunk.
Hmm.
I'd have been like, that's cool. All right, let's do it. Let's everything's steampunk. Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. But
Yeah.
like that move to try to sort of paper over it, like that's where it kind of went like a little bit wrong. Not, I mean, not maybe not wrong necessarily, but just
Hmm.
I don't know. Steampunk was cool.
It's
We should keep
yeah,
steampunk.
it feels like we cannot have like nice things with SAP. Cannot have any fun, no funny
Yeah.
business. Everything is super serial for some reason. Yeah, it's
You've
yeah,
exhausted your fun quota for the
yeah,
year, and now we're
exactly.
serious
Because
again. Yeah.
I was surprised that it was even allowed into any
Mm,
official
yeah,
content. I thought
it's
it
true.
was maybe like a working title for a
Hmm.
project. Like I think SAP had like Project River and what's not
Hmm.
before that
Yeah.
that turned into some other name completely. But yeah, it's funny. And now, yeah, now I guess it's not the thing anymore. So
Yeah.
stuffy suits taken over once again.
Yeah. Once again.
All right. So other things that we wanted to talk about in this episode is some things that we have talked about and written about maybe early in the year, and what happened to those things, that those technologies, or maybe some specific approach or anything. I can start with myself. I was just going through our newsletter issues to prepare for this episode, and because we have to migrate to another platform, so
Mm.
I have been rereading our archive. And one of the stories that I had early in the year was about Web3, for example. And since then, I think Web3 was somehow big subject of conversation for maybe a few weeks,
It was on a
which
rocket. Yeah.
Yeah. And which happens sometimes. I feel sometimes they're like suddenly like a spore of activity around certain subject, and then either it remains or it just goes away, never
Yeah.
to come back. But since then we have seen all those cryptocurrencies essentially crash. Everyone finally, I think, finally realizing that this whole, idea of this, blockchain, it's just technology without the use case essentially, and just has been hugely overhyped. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that this realization finally is happening. And I also feel that together with that, the whole Web3 kind of concept, even though it sounds cool, like you think it's like better internet, but that's not really what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty glad that it ended up kind of going away and
I I
dying
re
dying of natural causes.
yeah, I do because I do think too that like if there is going to be like a metaverse or Web3 comeback,
Hmm.
it needs a big splash again.
Yeah.
Because it like the credibility has taken such a hit,
Hmm.
right? That it will need something of huge magnitude sort of to bring it back to the positive side of the needle in people's minds. I think it's lost a lot of its like fun, cool celebrity status as a tech thing, and
Hmm.
it will require something. It's gonna need. It's like it's a what is it like a one hit wonder, right?
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
like
Flock
and
of
they're gonna need a
seagulls.
they need a bigger hit than the original hit
Yeah.
to bring it back. And we all know that a lot of one hit wonders out there don't ever have a
Yeah.
bigger
Yeah.
hit than the first
Exactly.
one. So,
Yeah.
you know, who knows?
Funny.
One of the along those lines on a maybe on a different trajectory
Mm-hmm.
is as I was going through, I noticed too that for myself, I wrote about like the AI tools, the both the visual and the chat tools over and over again
Mm-hmm.
over the year. Jeez. Um, and then just in probably the last month or so, that feels like it has gotten on a rocket ship. And like because I think everybody's talking about Chat GPT right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the rocket ship hasn't crashed yet. I mean, obviously we'll see where it goes, but it's this is on maybe a different part of the hype curve
Mm-hmm.
than Web3 is. And with along with that stuff, so there's Chat GPT, and I keep hearing that there is also loaded up in the canon ready to go for next year is GPT-4,
Mm-hmm.
which supposedly, according to all the Twitter rumors, like will just utterly melt your brain as far as to how good it is and how amazing its capabilities are. So like like healthy skepticism still, of course, because all the early adopters always feel that way about stuff. But like
Yeah.
if it's anything close to as good of a jump as the previous ones were, it will be not only amazing but a little bit scary too, you know? Because the quality and the BS that can get layered in with a tool like that is like sometimes awesome but sometimes scary to think about
Yeah.
with what could be done
Yeah.
with it. Um, so we'll see. But at this very moment, like this is a great way for me to crash it because for me to say at this moment it's on the rocket, like that's a perfect time for it to like come crashing down is to say that. But as right now, it hasn't come crashing down. It's more of a people scratching their heads and wondering what do we have here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's amazing because I was going through our archives. It's We have written about so much stuff. Some of it I have even
Yeah.
almost forgotten. Like, oh, did we write about
Yeah.
that or sometime like back
Yeah.
in January? And I'm actually curious if other writers like go back and reread their stuff. I know that actors frequently say like, "Oh, I don't watch like my movies. I
Mm,
don't like seeing
mm.
like." I think it's not like that for writers personally. I usually try to write what I like to read, so that's why
Yeah.
sometimes I go back, not like on purpose, of course, like, oh, I have nothing to do, I'm gonna go back and
Oh,
read my blogs, but
yeah.
sometimes you just stumble upon them, or you want to refer to
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
quote or
Yep.
whatever, just go
Mhm.
back. but sometimes I just find stuff like, did I write this? Like this looks like really cool. Who wrote this? Even some of the stories in our newsletter, as I was going through them, because we mix and match them sometimes. It's like
Yeah.
my and
Yeah.
Paul's, and they can be in any order.
Yeah.
Um, it's sometimes like, oh, like it must be Paul's stories, and then I see the signature. Which good thing we
Like,
put this under
I
each
did that?
one of them. Yeah, like did
Yeah.
I write this? Like sweet.
No, that's totally funny because I found that I had the same thing. I'd be scrolling through and be like, "Oh, that's a good one. I don't remember writing that," and then it was
Yeah,
me, or be like, "Yeah, that's totally my voice" or whatever, and then but it was you, right? So
yeah,
like that I have that like uh, maybe we're not so different as we think, right? In that
yeah,
in that regard,
yeah.
of seeing stuff go by. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's super funny.
Another thing that I've noticed, and at least, I mean, I think we've both written about it. I probably a little bit more than you, is that low code, no code stuff is
Mm,
still like there's still a lot of skepticism out there. I would say it's not like it's a little bit less of a rocket ship and more of a steady climb
mm-hmm,
these days,
mm-hmm,
but there is like a climbing sense of it. Um, it hasn't climbed to the degree where people like are like, whoa, have you seen the latest XYZ, whatever that
mm-hmm,
thing is, right? It's more like you just hear like 10% more chatter every month about it,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's a little bit more of a roller coaster than a rocket ship, maybe. I don't know, but I definitely do see and hear like slowly increasing amounts of talk about that stuff for sure.
Mm. I mean, yeah, I mean, no wonder SAP even brought this up a lot in their keynotes and in all the events, but they
Yeah.
obviously have platforms and tools to sell with their
Mm,
new
yeah.
SAP build offering, which is again super
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah.
So I think that's a prediction that we can steadily make every year. It's like
Yeah.
cheap joke, like SAP is
Something
gonna rename something. Something gotta be renamed, and it's just you.
something yeah.
Yeah,
SAP will do something that makes us scratch our heads. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no duh.
Place your bets now. And
Yeah.
one other item that I kind of took a mental note of, it was composable ERP.
That's
It's
right.
it's
You did do that a
something,
couple
yeah,
times.
that I
Yeah.
did a piece on, and I just looked at it. I was like, because SAP is kind of surprisingly to me, I would say, trying to almost jump on that buzzword
Mm,
bandwagon, if you
hmm
will. Even though historically, I think SAP was anything but. It was
Yeah.
almost the opposite of any composability. It was just very tightly integrated, and that was actually one of the biggest selling points. I think it still remains one of the biggest selling points, that everything works together very, very nicely.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious where this will be going
Yeah.
specifically in SAP space.
Yeah.
Will it actually mean anything at all, or will it be just kind of a fleeting buzzword out
Mm,
there in SAP space?
mm.
So it's very, very
Yeah.
peculiar.
Yeah. I That's one of those ones where it has less sexiness tech wise, but maybe more um I don't know how you want to call it, like industry slash business uh impact or meaning that
Mm-hmm,
that it might even just pass, like if it is something that does become more of a thing,
mm-hmm,
it may even pass people like you and me by a little bit because it's not necessarily like a groundbreaking technology approach to
mm-hmm,
things. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
It's a little bit less of a whoa, there's a new language or whatever out there. It's more of an approach kind of thing
mm-hmm,
that doesn't tend to catch my eye as much. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. But I think
Right.
that's at least from
Yeah.
my side, that's those are the things that I noticed.
Yeah.
Those things, yeah.
And anything else?
I don't think so. No.
All right. So
No.
I think it's a good place for us to wrap up. And before we before we finish this year and this episode, I just want to maybe end with just one last item, maybe, and I can start with myself since Paul is going to be completely unprepared for this. So, what do you think would be just one item that you think is going to work out, or you kind of hope it's going to work out, but probably not gonna be? So I can start with kind of my thoughts on this. I really like the announcement of SAP partnering with Udemy and about their kind of additional investment in learning. And that's something that I really wish would truly come true more in the upcoming year. But I also have this kind of nagging suspicion that it's just based on what has been historically happening, that it's like more of hanging mission accomplished banner and then not really making meaningful changes, because I think learning is super important. I mean, everyone knows that
Yeah.
it's goes without saying,
Mhm.
but it's also very, very difficult in SAP space. And again, as I was rereading, we did this story about the blog on SAP community, learning challenges of SAP developers. And I was just looking at it yesterday and I'm like, well, what has changed? It's been almost a year and still really I could read this post and it would be just the same. Nothing really improved since then. And I think that's kind of a pity. Maybe someone at SAP realizes something needs to change, but I don't know if meaningful change that will be actually helpful to developers happen. I hope
Mm.
it will, but
Yeah.
that's something
Yeah.
that I just feel skeptical about. So what are your kind of sending off into the new year thoughts?
So from an SAP perspective,
Mhm.
and we can come back to the other stuff, but from an SAP perspective, I actually think as much crap as you and I give them for renaming things like that,
Mhm.
I think ABAP Cloud is the right thing.
Yeah.
I think not just from a name perspective, but from an approach perspective, having kind of a unified, like,
Mhm.
whether you're on-prem or not, this is your extension approach,
Yeah.
and do it in the cloud, and take this language that, let's face it, most of the SAP folks still know and love ABAP. Like,
Mhm.
take that language to the cloud and go. I think that's going to work out.
Yeah.
I really think that's going to work out for SAP
Yeah,
and
I
for
agree.
customers to grab hold. And, like, I mean, everybody still wants to reduce their custom code footprint, right? Of
Of
course.
course. Yeah.
But if you got to write it, like, let's keep it in ABAP, is going to be a theme that comes up from the SAP center of things.
Mhm.
And I think that's okay from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Anything
Yeah.
for non-SAP?
For the non-SAPs, for just the broader perspective,
Mm.
I think um data and data integration,
Mm.
even, I mean, it's been a big thing for a decade now, but I think that's still probably the most important story that most enterprises can tell
Mhm.
about their systems, is the data integration between them.
Mhm.
Is really where the action happens, or is really where
Mm.
they get their stuff done. So anything that greases those wheels and makes that go faster or better will continue to be, like, even if it's not, Chat GPT 9 or
Mhm.
whatever, that's going to be what's important to big businesses in the
Mm.
next year, is continuing that data integration uh, journey, for sure.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
big data is the next big thing in big
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Big data, big ways, big money. Boom. I called it
Bigly.
now.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so that's all, folks. That's a wrap up of 2022, and happy holidays. Whatever you're celebrating, happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, we hope to hear and see you again in the next year. And please continue reading and subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our many other social media accounts, like and follow, etc., etc. And thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for highlighting my pieces. Really appreciate
Same
it.
to you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. And thank you to our listeners and friends and readers and that stuff. And like just like you said, looking forward to more interactions and more everything next year.
excellent. All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye.